question. Can you introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, so I can just talk to you, right?
And also talk to
The camera.
talk to the camera.
Okay. So my name is Marit Kim van der Staaij. I'm 30 years old. My Korean name is Yoram. I live in Korea now for 1.5 years. I came here to finish my study and I did an internship in Daegu. And now 2 months ago I came to Seoul for my work. And I work for a plant-based meat company.
Okay, thank you. And can you tell me about your mother? What was she like? Did she ever talk to you about Korea?
So maybe more background information. My mother was adopted from Gwangju.
Thank you.
From Gwangju, and then she went to Seoul. And from Seoul, she was adopted at the age of 3 years old to Netherlands, in the north of the Netherlands, and she grew up there. And at the age of 38, she passed away, and I was 13 years old at the time. She passed away by suicide. Suicide. She died by suicide. And when I grew up, we were only few Asian people around us. We grew up in a small village, so we looked very different from the other people. Most people had blonde hair and blue eyes, and we were more dark. So it was a little bit different. And my mother taught me to be really proud of being half Korean, and she was really proud of being Korean, and also proud to be Dutch. Yeah. So we grew up being proud of being mixed. So Korea was always a part of us. My mom also was really curious about Korea. She went back before I was born one time, and we were planning to go together to Korea as well. But she already passed away.
Can you tell me? I read about an article in Korean Herald that your interview. I read that you mentioned she suffered from mental illness.
Yeah.
Was it was it come from it's about
Her adoption. It's very difficult to say that the mental health problems came from that, but it's a fact that many people that are adopted suffer from mental health problems. So 1 in 4 is more likely to have mental health problems. So adoptees are also more likely to die from suicide compared to non-adoptees. So you could say there's some relation.
There are many reasons.
Yeah, and I think anyone that doesn't know their existence from their baby, they don't know the fundamental of their existence, it's really hard to develop as a human and to mature as well, because maybe some harm, you experience some harm when you were a baby, and no one can tell you or explain things. So it's really hard to say, but I think any baby that suffer a lot the first 3 years or 4 years of their life, it scars you for life, and that affects you through life. And so I cannot say it's directly because of adoption, but adoption was, I think,
one of the
really
reasons.
big structure of her mental health problems. And then there was not a lot of knowledge about the effect of adoption. So there was not a lot of help for her, and not good help to get treatment or get support. So that also made her suffer a lot.
How did your mother's experience as an adoptee
Yeah.
influence the way you grew up?
It was always a part of us. But I think it just comes with waves. So we got confronted with it maybe daily, that because we look different, but we don't think like, oh, it's because of her adoption or
Mm-mm.
something.
Mm-mm.
Also, my adoptive family, my mother's adoptive parents,
Mm-mm.
we're very close with them.
Mm-mm.
So we saw them weekly or almost daily.
Mm-mm.
Um, and we just saw them as family, our family. We
Mm-mm.
didn't feel different from
Mm-mm.
them.
You live nearby?
Yeah, very close.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we could just walk to
Oh.
each other's house.
Mm.
Maybe only a few times I was a child and remember, oh, they're not like blood family,
Mhm.
but I
But
still
you
feel
feel like
very
what?
close to them. Yeah. So I cannot say too much about it. But like I said before, the adoption affected my mom in some way, and it affected her behavior, and then also it affected how she,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
how I grew up as well.
Mhm. Okay. Um, I read an article that you mentioned that losing your mind, losing your mother. Sorry, losing your mother also felt like losing your connection to Korea.
Yeah,
Have you found ways to rebuild that connection since starting your search?
yeah. Because my mother was the only influence of Korea in my surrounding. My grandparents, so the adopted parents of my mom, they tried to tell about Korea as well because my grandfather visited Korea. But we didn't have anyone that looked like my mom in my family, or my sister and I were the only one that looked like us. So mm, it was hard to connect with Korea, and also
Yeah, it's very different culture.
yeah. But I think when you're young, you don't think too much about it.
Mm-mm.
And later in life, you think more about who you are
Mm-hmm.
and what it means. And then Korea came more part of me. And then I had a really strong longing to go to Korea, to understand what it means to be Korean, what part of me is Korean, what part of my mom was Korean. Because my mom also didn't know a lot about Korea. Because she only knew small things.
So you're in a journey
Yeah.
now, finding yourself.
Yeah, as well.
as
Yeah. So
Korean.
I want to first visit Korea only maybe for 2 weeks or something. But then I was thinking, no, I want to really, really live here for some time to experience how it is to be in Korea. So then I decided to live here now 1.5 year. There's so many small things that fall in their place, like a puzzle, and it just falls together. Like, oh, that's the Korean part of me that's doing this. It's not weird, or it just makes sense. Makes more sense sometimes. But also living here makes me also realize, oh, I'm also really Dutch, like really Dutch mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah, I realize. And some things I'm just a mix. Like they're about my culture, about my heritage. It's just a mix.
I think it's quite unique and special in a good way to have mixed identity.
I think it's very valuable, and very enriching. I like it.
And um, next question: what was the moment that made you decide to actively search for your Korean family? Was it an emotional turning point?
Yeah, I think I didn't realize until much later, maybe 20s or something, that I maybe a family in Korea. I didn't think about that because I lost my mom, and then you think that's it.
She passed
And
away.
yeah, and I have my adopted family, but then I start to think, oh, maybe they
Korean family.
yeah, they're curious about my mom, and they don't know she passed away. Um, and then I saw an episode of a Dutch television show that reunites families, and one family or one story really touched me deeply because her the parents, they felt very helpless. They didn't want to put her daughter for adoption, but they felt they didn't have the support to
They are
do otherwise.
forced. They are forced to.
They felt really forced to do it, and they regretted that, and they wished to do something for her daughter now. And I just saw them so helpless and grieving about their daughter. And because my family, we lost my little brother, so I saw my family, my parents also grieving about my little brother. And I saw those parents also grieving about their child. So I was just imagining maybe my grandparents in Korea also grieving about my about my mom, and they want to meet her or want to know more. And I was really doubting to search for family because I can only bring really bad news that she already passed away. And she also passed away by suicide. So it's maybe very, very sad to hear for that.
I mean, birth mother. Your
Yeah,
mother's birth.
yeah. It will be very hard to hear that for them. So I was really thinking maybe that's really bad to do that. But on the other hand, I'm also here. And maybe they want to meet. Maybe they want some answers. And maybe I can provide those answers. And maybe have a bond. Or get to know each other and tell stories about my mom. Even though we share a loss together, we can still bond together. And bond. So I was really doubting about it. Even last minute, because I sent a news reporter a request to publish my story to find my family. And even the last seconds that I put like on send, I was thinking, do I really want to do this? Because maybe some other family drama will come, or maybe I disturb someone's peace. But I was thinking I will have a lot of regret if I don't try. I should at least try. And so with that, I sent it and I started to search.
Okay. What was it like to meet you, Korean, your mother's birth father?
So I really tried to find it, my family, through the news article, and I couldn't find them. Then I tried to ask Korean social service to find my family. They couldn't find anyone. They found adoption papers from Gwangju, and they hide those documents from my mom. So she never knew that her birthday was real, that her name was real, which was so important for her because
To find her family.
yeah, and but also know that your name is given by your family and not by a stranger. That your birthday is real, because she also decided to die on her birthday because we lost our little brother. So we know how through the year there are always 2 days that are very heavy and difficult. And my mom wants to avoid that sadness to me and my sister and my family. So she wants to have 1 day. And even in her goodbye letter, she said it doesn't matter because this date is just estimated or made up by the orphanage. So this date was very important to her. So I really wish she knew about it. So through PSS, I couldn't find any family, even though they had the name of my grandfather, they had the address of my grandfather,
But,
But
you can't
they-
find them.
but they didn't want to give it to me. They said it's privacy.
You don't have the right.
So I don't have any right. But if my mom was alive, she also didn't have the right to know because they want to protect his privacy. And then they tried to search for him, but then they say we cannot find them. And then I went to the orphanage in Gwangju and asked about if she can provide me more information. And she went to the address of my grandfather, and then she found out he already passed away. And then she also shared the name with me because she said he already passed away. So it can be your right to know at least the name of your grandfather. And she found the cousin of my grandfather, so very far family. So my mom, her father, and then a cousin. so really far from me.
Yeah.
But I got to meet him really shortly, maybe only 10 minutes. He gave some stories about my grandfather and his family. And then he promised me he wanted to try to search for my grandmother and maybe ask other family members if they want contact with me, because I asked if my mom had siblings, but he didn't want to answer that. But after that, he didn't contact me again. I think he felt a bit out of his place because the family is really far from him. So he felt uncomfortable to interfere with that. So I didn't hear anything from him anymore. I don't have any information from my grandmother. So at this moment, I stopped searching because my grandfather passed away. So maybe my grandmother also passed away. I don't have any information.
No clue.
No. So I think it's better sometimes to choose peace, let it rest. So it ends for me here.
Okay. I heard that. Um, what do you think leads to change in Koreans' adoption laws to better support adoptees and their descendants?
There needs to be a lot of change. But I think at first adoption needs to stop, right? I mean, it's weird. Still,
Yes.
babies go
Yes.
out of this really, well country.
It's still
And
done.
It's still done, and they're one of the most expensive babies to get. And so Korea is only proving now they're just selling babies and they're getting profit from it. It's not saving children. But it's also not only government and law, it's also society. We need to create a society that we take care of each other and don't judge each other. And maybe there's not the standard getting married and having a baby. There's also single mothers or single dads that need to be supported. So these are really big fundamental things that need to change. And now for adoptees, there needs to be a lot of support to reconnect with our country. We want to learn the language. We need to have mental health support, and their descendants as well. I'm here. I'm half Korean. I carry the same DNA as you, but I'm not recognized. I don't get access to have a Korean passport. I have the F4 visa, which I'm really happy with, but officially I don't have any right to apply for it because I cannot access the documents of my mom, which is really strange. I can apply for the visa, and in order to have the visa, I need to have the documents, but I cannot apply for the documents. So this needs to change. And we're with a lot. Like 200,000 adoptees went out, and many of them have maybe one child or more. So you can do the calculation. So there are many of us already here and also being
Not in
born.
calculation.
Yeah.
So many.
And I know someone, she's a little bit older than me, but she has a daughter. And her daughter is 18 years old. So she's the third generation of adoptee. And she's also very interested in Korea. She wants to maybe study here as well. So it goes way further than the adoptee themselves. So it's time that Korea start to recognize us, and accept us, and help us because we're also Korean.
Okay, thank you. Your journey has clearly been emotionally intense. What keeps you motivated to continue fighting for adoptee rights?
I think my mom also taught me always to be kind to other people. And I think I grew up in a family that cannot stand injustice. So we really fight because my brother died of a medical mistake. So they also really fight with the hospital to get justice for my brother. So I think in our family we just cannot stand injustice.
Family.
Yeah. So when we see injustice, we want to do something. And I see this opportunity that I can do something. And even though I don't like the public speech or things like that, I know it's very important to get my voice heard, because I know I'm not the only one. And many are to come as well, like the descendants, and also that they maybe lose their parent in the future and still want to have access to Korea. So this is a problem that I'm not the only one that will face. Many will face it as well. And why only fight for myself if I can also fight for others? So that's maybe my motivation.
That's good. Um, were there any unexpected sources of support during this journey?
Oh, yeah, I think many. There were many friendly people that helped me out of nowhere. Kind
Like
friend.
this interview.
Yeah, yeah. And also my Korean teacher, I just came there to learn Korean, but she helped me as well with translating documents. And other people tried to help me with translating or understand the Korean system as well. That also encouraged me, because we don't fight alone as adoptees. Also, Koreans are helping and recognizing we're all part of this together. So from many ways, people are helping us. So it's good.
Um, and and what would you say to other descendants of adoptees who might be considering searching for their biological families but feel discouraged?
It's hard because every situation can be different. Some parents, they don't feel connected to Korea at all, and they don't want to know anything about it. Can be part of their adoption trauma, or they just really don't feel like it, and they feel really a citizen of the country where they're living now. But then their descendants are curious about that part. And it can be very difficult to have a conversation with your parents about that, because it can be sensitive to them. But it's still good to have this open conversation and be curious. And I know many descendants are also in a situation that the parent just keep the door closed while they want to open it.
They can open.
Yeah,
in
want
return.
to discover about Korea. But there are many ways to discover your own roots, and it can feel very lonely if you don't have support from your family, or feel your family is not interested at all. But it's important to you, so that I think it's important
It's
to
important
do as well.
their identities.
Yeah, yeah, and I think these days Korea is really approachable to just come here, but it can be a very big step to come here. So with some other descendants, we're trying to build a community. We have a Facebook page. We're trying to build an Instagram platform. We try to organize events in Seoul, in Europe, as well in America, to create a community for us, feel connected, feel safe to talk with each other, and because Korea is also part of us. We're also Korean. No one can tell us any difference. So we can be Korean.
Okay. I heard that you're planning to write a book.
Oh yeah.
Can you share more details about the book that you're writing? What messages do you hope readers take away from your story?
So I'm writing now, and I'm just trying to tell the story of my mom, but also my story and my mixed identity of being Dutch, but also Korean. My experience living in Korea, my experience living in Netherlands, and the differences and the similarities. Um, and as I mentioned, I know I'm not alone. So I hope some people find some recognition and feel seen as well, and I hope they can be encouraged to also search for their roots. But also, I want to really show that adoption is not a fairy tale. Adoption affects not only the adoptee but also their descendants. Because at one point in life, I was repeating history. I was also put in foster care. I was not living with my father anymore. I was also struggling with mental health. And I think there are many adoptees that really want for their children not to repeat history. And I also want for my children not to repeat history. So I hope with sharing my story, people get insight in maybe their patterns or awareness and try to stop repeating the history, have a better life for future and for children. And I think very important is to find your own identity as an adoptee, as a descendant, to break this pattern.
Okay, thank you. And what's the most important thing that you've learned about yourself through this journey?
Wow. I think the most important thing is that I'm just mixed. People try to put me maybe in a box, and me as well. I try to, oh yeah, this is Korean about me, this is Dutch about me. But it's just a mix, it's all fusion. People would say, oh, you don't look really Korean. And then I hear, you also don't look Dutch. Yeah, it's true because I'm a mix. So, yeah, just accepting myself as I am. I don't need to be Korean. I don't need to be Dutch. I'm just I think most important one.
Okay. And last question. Is there anything you'd like to say to people watching this interview? To this camera. Is it pressure?
For me, it was really important to find my roots and find my identity. And it's hard to make that step, and it takes a lot of courage to take that step, to search for yourself, your roots. And sometimes knowing more is not always nice, but it's part of me, part of you. It's important to recognize that as well.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
you
taking precious time for this interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.